Hello, everyone. It is so great to see all of you here today on this very chilly New York City day for our Megatrend event. This one is one of my most favorite on our calendar. It's always fun to bring out the crystal ball. And before we get started, I want to give you a behind-the-scenes view of how this all comes together. But first, a bit of housekeeping. So I want to first thank all of our partners for making this possible. We simply couldn't do it without you. I also want to thank our speakers for today. We are going to dive into all of our megatrends with them and get their perspectives on the year ahead. We're also going to be in London on Thursday. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow and flying to London. And so we're going to talk with leaders there across the pond. And as the editor-in-chief of Skift, I have to ask, do you read Skift? Do you enjoy Skift? If the answer is you do not read it, well, why not? You can get a 25% off QR code right there. So get up your phones, get that discount. I also wanted to draw your attention to a new initiative we have going. We have something that we are calling our Skift Climate Hub. We are doing this in partnership with Intrepid Travel. I'm very excited about this initiative. We have a new reporter. His name's Darren Graham. He's formerly with the BBC. And so he's going to be starting this off. We're getting to work right now. So please stay tuned for a lot of live new coverage on this on the sustainability front. It's very important. Also, our Skift Idea Awards are opening for submission today. We are honoring inspiring, purpose-driven work from across the sector. So use that QR code to get your submission in. And last but not least, our next event is in India in March. So if any of you would like to come to that, that would be fantastic. And it is never too early to buy your ticket for Skift's Global Forum, which will be here in September, as always, next autumn. So now we're going to jump right into those actual trends, and I'm going to give you a little bit of that inside background on how we do this. So each autumn, the Skift editorial team, we get together and we start thinking about the year to come. What are we all going to be obsessed with? What's going to move the needle and have everybody talking? Then we discuss, we might argue a little bit, we may have called some of you and picked your brains about what you think is going on, and then we write. In December, we published our 13 megatrends for 2025. They are up on skift.com, and today we're going to take a look at a lot of the themes that came out of those discussions. We are going to talk about how changes in policy, climate, technology, and consumer behaviors are going to alter everything from your P&Ls, from your distribution routes, and everything to brand equity. Because as leaders in this business, you are not just passive observers of these trends, you want to capitalize on them. So first, we're going to talk about live tourism. That's Skift's marquee trend this year, and it's this concept that instead of the old way, where you kind of pick a destination and then get on a plane and simply go there, live tourism is more where customers are picking an event, and then they are building their entire trip or their entire travel around that live experience. Let me tell you a little story. I'll give you an example. When we were reporting, I talked to this dad in Canada. He had 3 tween daughters, and they very much wanted to see Taylor Swift and the Eras Tour when it came to town in Toronto for them. So dad logs on, tries to get tickets. They, of course, are sold out immediately, goes on to the scalper sites, and it would have cost him $10,000 to take his whole family to see the Eras Tour in Toronto. So what did he do? He took that $10,000, booked a 2-week trip to Brazil, where he and his family saw the Eras Tour in Rio. They never had really thought about going to South America on vacation before, but it was the cornerstone of their trip. They had a great time. They said they would like to go back. So that is live tourism in action, something so powerful that it has the ability to remap where people decide to travel. The days of kind of passively looking at iconic vistas or these big kind of tentpole areas, that's kind of gone. It's moving away to this new form of social currency, which is being there in the flesh with the right people at the right time for the things that everyone's going to be talking about tomorrow. So Think concerts like the Eras Tour, sporting events like the World Cup or F1 races, and even cosmic occurrences like the total eclipse we saw here in North America last year, or the Northern Lights. So speaking of the Northern Lights, that brings us to another big recalibration that we're seeing, and that is the search for cooler climates. The world is heating up. That is not at issue. But what we're seeing is that travelers are swapping out their traditional sunny beach vacations or maybe going to the southern Mediterranean for these new kind of more active, crisper, cooler escapes and experiences. We also found that the concept of luxury itself is getting a bit of a makeover. Forget those marble bathtubs or gilded fixtures. The new status symbols, those are authenticity, personal connection, and immersive experiences that really don't feel mass-produced. Those old markers of privilege, over-the-top opulence, those are giving way to something richer, more distinctive, and genuinely meaningful. We also found that there were big market and cultural transformations that were putting a whole new spin on what we've always assumed about some regions, products, services, and even states of mind. Take the Middle East, for example, where the UAE and Saudi Arabia are undertaking some of the most audacious tourism experiences on Earth. Think building cities right out of the desert in entertainment hubs that rival London or Las Vegas. But behind all of that, there are some liberalized policies shifting cultural norms at lightning pace. Think loosening norms on gambling and alcohol consumption. As you can imagine, not everyone is on board. Meanwhile, airlines are rediscovering the wonders of first-class travel. After the pandemic, we saw the masses kind of go into business class. Well, now in 2025, there are a bunch of carriers who are really elevating that first-class experience and bringing back the kind of buzz around that cabin. And it's really different from the more mass luxury approach that we have seen of late. And there's a new other frontier as well, and that's psychedelics. And it is not a throwback to kind of tie-dye and incense, maybe your mom and dad's psychedelics, but these are curated psilocybin experiences that meet head-on with luxury wellness. So for those of you who are into that, get ready for some magic mushrooms in the minibar. And 2025 is going to be a banner year for a certain cohort of travelers. The ones who never complain about the pillows, who don't care about room service delays, and are really, quite frankly, just love to sniff the curtains. Those, of course, are your pets, ladies and gentlemen, your furry friends. Pet travel is huge. It's worth about $2 billion right now and is set to double over the next decade to $4.6 billion. And I think we're about to see, that is all of the Skifters' pets. Mine, Milo's in the upper right there. So had to show all of you that. Regulation is also a big theme for 2025, especially in Europe. We have regulators who are really getting right into the middle of travel. We have them putting on tourist registration systems. We have them doing trackers. We have them putting tourist taxes. They're even doing some curtailing of short-term rentals. It is clear these governments are not happy to be passive spectators anymore. They are meeting over-tourism head-on. And here in the United States, we have a bit of a different edge. We've got a brand new administration coming in just a couple of weeks. What does that mean for travel? We asked. We may have called some of you, and we granted anonymity. This is a heat map of what everybody said. We talked to nearly 50 leaders, and because we granted anonymity, we got some rather colorful responses. So this is up on skift.com, so if you'd like to take a look, please do. Now on to tech with the side of regulation first. There is Google, who is the longtime titan of travel search. They are facing regulators on one side, AI rivals on another, and both are gunning for its throne. Suddenly, Google's iron grip on what we see first and who pays for that privilege is maybe slightly less certain. Now, from a strategic standpoint, this adds complexity, certainly, but not doom, especially for those companies that are willing to adapt. With pure play AI, we are moving beyond basic chatbots to things that can help with really the heavy lifting of search, with doing itineraries, with micro preferences, and really predicting what your guests might want before they even know it themselves. Hotels are getting into the act. If you can think about it, they are going to monetize it. That room with a view, the room away from the noisy elevator. If you like to fly at dawn, that early check-in, they are taking their friends from a page from the airlines. It's going to cost you all a ton of money. And finally, influencers and content creators. In 2025, social media isn't just where travelers go to get inspiration. It's where they go to get recommendations and increasingly even buy. 80% of travelers, 80% go to either Instagram or TikTok before they book. And they are not just looking at generic photos of your lunch or pretty sunsets. They're watching what their favorite content creators are recommending, what they're posting, and sometimes actually what they are selling. Because the influencer economy is not what it used to be. It's not just about storytelling anymore, although that is certainly very important. It's now about the monetary transaction or in-app sales. The platforms are making it seamless, and it has the potential to transform the finance of travel. And let's get started. Thank you very much for coming.